baseball. The All-Star game officially in the books, and now we look forward to the trade deadline. Just 2 weeks to go, and so this is the time where we try to categorize teams as buyers, sellers, maybe those who are stuck somewhere in the middle in that gray area, and of course some top prospects, some big names who we could see on the move that deadline, July 31st at 6 p.m. So let's bring in our baseball insider and our GM, Jim Bowden, here to talk about the trade deadline. First up, we were talking about top targets, Jim. Who are some of the big names you should be watching? And I'm not going to lie, one of them makes my heart hurt just a little bit.
So you're talking about Marcell Ozuna or Raisel Iglesias? They're both Braves, so I knew that it would be one of the two. I mean, look, the interesting part over the next 2 weeks is finding out who really is going to be selling, right? Like, we know the obvious teams. The Chicago White Sox are going to be selling. We know the Athletics, the Nationals, the Marlins. Your Braves aren't going to do too much, but probably Ozuna and Iglesias. The Pirates are going to sell. The Rockies are going to sell. We know all that. The interesting part's going to be when the decision comes down to Arizona and Baltimore, because that's when the bigger names are, right? Arizona's got both Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. All the contending teams are waiting to see what they do. Also with Zach Gallen, also with Merrill Kelly. And if you look at this board right now, these are the most likely to be traded. These aren't the targets, but these are likely. Mitch Keller of the Pirates, he gone. Lewis Robert has 8 teams pursuing him with the White Sox. David Bednar and Dennis Santana of the Pirates, they gone. And so I think Ryan McMahon of the Rockies, if someone will take on the salary, he's going to go too, because we got a lot of teams like the Yankees, the Brewers, and the Mariners looking for third base help. So it's going to be fun, but what you're seeing on the board right now, those 7 names are the most likely to be traded.
So if you're on the Braves and the Diamondbacks, you're most likely to be traded. But if you're on the Rockies, the Pirates, or the White Sox on this list, you gone, according to Jim Bowden.
That's right, you gone.
He had the whole control room cracking up.
They're roaring in there, Jim. Okay, let's go. I know we kind of talked about people that are going to be obvious buyers, right? So let's kind of go down the list. The Red Sox are on here, the Mets. So kind of walk us through that, Jim. Who are the obvious buyers that we're going to be seeing?
Yeah, let me give you 3 teams, right? Let's start with the New York Mets. They're half game behind the Phillies in the NL East. And David Stearns, the president, has been working really hard behind the scenes because he really wants to improve the bullpen, not just with one reliever, but he'd like to acquire 2. He's also been kicking the tires on upgrading in center field as well, which is kind of interesting. Let's start with the bullpen. He's talked to the Pirates about both David Bednar and Dennis Santana, and perhaps a package deal where he gets both of them. The Nationals, Kyle Finnegan is expected to be moved. And then there's some bigger names. We just mentioned Raisel Iglesias of the Braves. Mason Miller of the Athletics. They haven't wanted to trade him in the past, but at least they'll listen. We're waiting to see what the Orioles do, because Felix Bautista could be a guy that gets traded. And the name that keeps getting screamed at while I was at the All-Star game is Emmanuel Clase, one of the best closers in baseball. But the Guardians are so desperate to improve their offense that they're willing to dangle him if they can get enough bats. And the Mets certainly have a lot of young hitters like Ronnie Mauricio, Ryan Clifford. So they have enough, Drew Gilbert. They have enough in their farm system to match up with them. So that's going to be interesting. Now, in terms of center field, Lewis Robert of the White Sox, who we expect to be traded, but also Cedric Mullins of the Baltimore Orioles is another name that the Mets have been connected with. The Boston Red Sox, look, they want another starting pitcher. They want it to be young and controllable. And they're using Jarren Duran as trade bait, which I don't like. Like, if I'm the Red Sox, I just want to keep these position players together. And I know that the plan is Abreu in right, Rafael in center, and Anthony in left, and that would leave Duran at DH. So they kind of want to move him and turn him into a pitcher. But I would keep them all, because the position players in the Red Sox are good enough to win the World Series. You just need one more arm to put behind Crochet and Bayo. And then with Chapman closing, you could win right now. And then finally, the Padres, they're going to go get a bat or 2. I talked to A.J. Preller, the president of the Padres, a few days ago, and he made it very clear to me that his goal at the deadline is to get a bat or 2, and I will never bet against A.J. Preller. When he tells me he's going to do something, 99% of the time he does something. So that's going to be fun to watch on the buyer side.
So what about on the seller side, Jim? I know we talked about the Pirates and some of the more obvious ones, but who else are you going to be watching for to be a seller at the trade deadline?
Yeah, and with the Pirates, besides the relievers, let's add Mitch Keller. You know, he was on that list, but Cubs, Blue Jays, Astros, Yankees have all kicked the tires on Keller, so watch for that. They've had a lot of discussions with the Cubs about a possible deal for a minor league outfielder, Owen Cassey. And in terms of Bednar and Santana, besides the Mets, Phillies, Cubs, Tigers are in on them. Another interesting name off the Pirates is Brian Reynolds, the right fielder. Kansas City, Cincinnati, and San Diego are the three teams I keep hearing on Brian Reynolds. And the Cleveland Guardians appears to be sellers. We just talked about Clase, but also 39-year-old Carlos Santana, the DH, and even Gold Glove left fielder Stephen Kwan's name has been bandied about. They really want to get power bats. And then, of course, the Twins are not going to trade Joe Ryan or Byron Buxton, but they might trade Griffin Jax or Johan Duran.
And Jimmy, you know that we love a good bold prediction, so hit us with one for the trade deadline.
All right, I got a three-way deal for my big, bad, bold prediction, okay? Three-way deal. Boston, Miami, San Diego. You ready for it, Jacqueline?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Boston gets Edward Cabrera from Miami to join the rotation. Miami gets the top catching prospect of the Padres, Ethan Salas, and one of the top pitching prospects of the Red Sox, Luis Perales. The Padres get Jarren Duran to put in left field. Now their outfield is Tatis, Merrill, and Duran. Yum, 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 all three sides. The Red Sox got their pitcher, the Padres got their bat, and Miami got their future. Let's go!
Hey, Marlins receive. That's not something that I see very often when we talk about trades.
Will Littlebrook said that the Red Sox needed, and Jim got it done.
Jim's delivering. Jim, we certainly appreciate getting us ready.
Because we get to jump into Ken's notes, AJ, without Ken. So you get to play Ken and give me your thoughts on what he threw out there. Let's start with the Dodgers. He said after investing a combined $107 million in free agent relievers this past offseason, Tanner Scott, Blake Treinen, and Kirby Yates, they are expected to pursue bullpen help, according to sources briefed on the team's plans. He pointed to Tanner Scott having a worse year, giving up a lot more homers in the first half. That could change, but Evan Phillips, Tommy John surgery, Blake Treinen expected to join the team soon. Kopech is out again, but hopefully back in the next few weeks. Brusdar Graterol working his way back from shoulder surgery. Thoughts on the Dodgers going for more bullpen help?
What did Jim Bowden just say? Every team wants bullpen help. You can never have enough bullpen help. Tanner Scott's got to figure it out. He's probably been out of this group the most disappointing, I would say, after the year he came off last year. Kirby Yates has been okay, hasn't been great. Treinen's been hurt. Evan Phillips out for the year. Kopech has missed most of the year. Gratterall's missed all the year. So they have a lot of guys, and they're surviving. They're still doing fine. It's the Dodgers. What do you expect? It's World Series or bust for the Dodgers. So, of course, they're going all in on whatever they think is needed. I mean, they have Yamamoto. Kershaw's pitching pretty well. Glasnow came back. When do we see Sasaki? When do we see Snell? Look, the Dodgers are going for it. We know they're going for it. They're not going to stop halfway. Brandon Gomes and that whole Dodgers organization is all in.
Do you think they'll go big, Kratz? So another part of his notes column brought up the Twins and the Guardians, who I think we're going to talk about a lot, but let's focus on their relief pitching. He brought up Griffin Jackson, Johan Duran, as well as Emmanuel Clase and Cade Smith. He said it's not going to be easy to pluck those players. Also, Cleveland had the 10-game losing streak, and then they won, I think, 6-7 heading into the break. Twins played pretty good heading to the break. Both of them have kind of soft schedules over the next couple weeks, so it could be fool's gold. What do you think happens there, and what would you do? And one more caveat, Ken mentioned how the other element is that the Guardians are extremely disciplined in trade talks, often frustrating potential partners. That's been a reputation of theirs for a while. Plus, Derek Falvey began his front office career with Cleveland, and the Twins barely ever do anything because they're tough to deal with too.
Yeah, I don't see how the Twins get anything done without it being a mega return. And there's pretty much two teams that you know based on, one, their cash, two, the way their GMs work and how badly they want to win. Phillies, Dodgers. Whether, Phillies, it's more about like, hey, Dave Dombrowski's he's like, I'll give it to you. What do you want? You have that guy. I want him. Let's go after it. So if you're talking about a Johan Duran being a mega piece, I don't see the Dodgers going after him. I think they would probably like a Griffin Jax better just because the strikeouts are there. And Duran, while being a closer, there's those pieces. But to me, if somebody gets Clase, because I heard the rumors with the Phillies, to me, it's the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are not afraid to make a big splash. The Dodgers are not afraid to give Dalton Rushing to the Guardians if that's what they're looking for. The Guardians never really completely rebuild, and the Dodgers have AAA big league players who are young, have less than a year of service, and they can be plugged right into the Guardians lineup. And who of the Dodgers trades of prospects are you like, man, probably would like to have that guy back. No, they have a World Series from last year. They won another one again this year.
Do you think the Phillies could make a move for Clase or Duran? I mean, both of them have multiple years of control left. I imagine Justin Crawford gets it done, but the Phillies don't want to do that because he's probably going to be their outfielder, if not late this year, then starting next year for, they hope, 10 years. Mick Abel, we brought up quite a bit. I think one of those blue chip prospects does get a guy like that.
I don't think that's enough because of Clase's contract. I think you're going to need a Mick Abel and an Aiden Miller and a Justin Crawford. And I don't say Andrew Painter because all I've heard is he is completely off limits. But Clase makes me feel like I'm going after a lot of guys. I'm letting you have somebody if I can have Clase. I don't care what he did last year in the playoffs or not. That is a shutdown closer who is locked in, which Dombrowski does like to do. He likes the guys who are still locked in a little bit.
Felix Bautista, AJ, has a couple years left of control, and I bet Mike Elias would do a move like that because the future is better than the present in Baltimore.
You always say, I don't think he's trading Bautista. I just don't think. I think he's going to hold on to him for one more year and try to make a run next year because you have to go into next year with the closer, and Bautista looks really good this year, so I don't think the Orioles will move him.
Two more quick ones. Yeah, go ahead, Kratz.
No, I was just going to say the only person I think would get Bautista out of Baltimore would be Painter, and that's another starting pitcher, which I think Mike Elias is like, you know what? We don't really need starting pitching. All of our starting pitchers that are hurt are just going to come back, and we're going to be perfect next year.
I disagree. I think Elias would do Abel for Bautista straight up. I do. I think that both sides would agree to that one. But we'll see. We'll see. Two more here. This one's quick. Luis Robert, according to Ken, is definitely getting shopped hard and probably getting traded because he has a $20 million club option next year, and there is no way that's getting picked up right now. I mean, he's stealing a bunch of bases, plays solid D, but I mean, that's terrible. A team will take a flyer on him if the White Sox need most of the money. Yes. I think he's definitely getting traded.
You think the White Sox are going to? You think the White Sox are going to eat a lot of that money, though? I mean, they'd have to get something. The White Sox are probably asking for the moon for this guy.
Is from Tampa. The Rays are in the process of getting sold to a Jacksonville developer who is going to buy the team for $1.7 billion and presumably will have the money to run the team. Now, what is the best move a new owner could make, presuming he is confirmed and approved by the offseason? The best move he can make would be to bring a guy like Kyle Tucker home. Now, Kyle Tucker is likely to get, $450 million, $500 million in free agency. The Rays offered Freddie Freeman about $150 a couple of years ago, but Kyle Tucker is going to get 3 times that. So I'm not expecting the Rays to be a player for Kyle Tucker. I just think it would be a really cool move if a new owner could come in and pull something like that off. Can you imagine? It would kind of shock the baseball world. The Rays are going back to the Trop next year. That is the expectation. And once they're sold, the expectation as well is that they're going to relocate possibly to Tampa. That would be the favorite in the clubhouse in a new ballpark. Well, here's your centerpiece for a new ballpark going forward. It would take a few years, of course, but if you're signing Kyle Tucker, you're signing him for more than a few years.
Percentage chance Kyle Tucker lands with the Rays is?
There's a better chance of this card that I have of Ellie De La Cruz is rated a 10 than Kyle Tucker signs with Tampa. Hey.
You can't give me a 0. You're not even going to give me like a 5%?
0%. 0%.
Why?
0. They don't have a stadium. Here's the biggest thing. The new owner, great. But how's that new owner work down Baltimore?
Not well yet.
Okay, thank you. It takes them a little while to get in there and figure it out. They don't just go in there and throw their money around for no reason. Plus, the Rays don't have a stadium deal. They're still stuck in the Trop. Until they figure out the stadium, they don't know what their revenues are going to be or where they're going to be. So even if this deal gets done in September like they're talking about, it's going to take them a few months to get settled, figure out a stadium, all that stuff. So no, Kyle Tucker's not going to the Rays. I'm sorry. They would have to so overpay. They would have to give him the Juan Soto deal for him to go to Tampa. Do you think that's happening, Scott? What are the chances that happens?
I don't think he's going to get $765 million. Here's the thing. Steve Cohen took over for the Mets. He spent money right away. Mark Walter took over for the Dodgers, spent money right away. For me, Kyle Tucker, right now, I'll give it a 5%.
You're in different ballparks of people. Steve Cohen, no offense to Patrick Zalewski, But Steve Cohen and Patrick Zalopsky and his group are way different animals, okay? The Guggenheim that owns the Dodgers, it's not, what's the guy's name that you named? It's not them, it's the Guggenheim thing. Mark Walter. They own Guggenheim. Next time you get 5 seconds of your life, Google how much Guggenheim is worth and then get back to me. That's not, I mean, that's like Steve Cohen to Scott Braun, and then Guggenheim's like 10 times bigger than Steve Cohen.
Hold up. I'll give you another example. It's one that you just brought up. Though it hasn't worked out well, that is on the GM. He's made crappy transactions. The Orioles upped their payroll by about $50 million this past offseason. That is about how much per season Kyle Tucker will probably end up
They're
getting.
just going to bring in
the
Kyle
Orioles
Tucker.
have spent their money stupidly.
They're just going to
The Rays, they don't do much in the offseason anyway. I mean, they just signed Ha-Seong Kim. They didn't, and then they traded away Springs. They're not really active. If they're going to surround themselves around one player, I don't think it's a crazy thought.
Okay.
Dude. I'm checking to make sure we're not losing subscribers based on that comment and AJ saying that the home run derby should happen in regular season games. Like, come on, no, it's not going to happen. They offered Freddie Freeman $150 million. You're talking about Kyle Tucker. The get-in price is $450. They didn't take Juan Soto's contract off their books. Wander Franco's contract is not in the even $300 million range. No. Zero. No. Kyle Tucker. And other teams that actually want to win, like, for real, are never going to let that happen. The Rays are like, hey, we'll give you $400 million. The Mets are like, we need a right fielder. Phillies are like, Castellanos is gone. We need a right fielder. Nope, we'll pay extra. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I actually think he's going to end up with the Yankees, but I just thought it was a fun exercise. I don't think it's crazy. They might throw an offer out there, just might not be the winning bid, but thank you.